Yeah.
And it says that it is preparing to go live, Trina, and it says we got it. So we got it. We're recording. Y'all look fabulous. Welcome everybody. So good to see you. And favor. That's all we're going to say. Favor be all over you today, and nothing missing, nothing broken. As I get fully engaged here.
Yes.
There we are. We are actually live, Trina. I can see us. So, wow.
Yay.
So welcome everybody. We did not have to, go to the other stream. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But any case, we are blessed and honored to have all of you here. Thank you, moderators. Hey, Big Al, good to see you. Bonnie and Deborah and Jules, Lost in Space. Scotty Boy, I'm Nancy and Bernadette and Greedy. Well, welcome everyone. We just speak favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Prosperity be abounding. Go, good to see you as well. And happy birthday. And wow. So healing, everything else, Katrina, we'll just put it all in one big package there. How are you, my dear? You look fabulous in pink. I love it.
Well, thank you. It feels fabulous to be in pink. I think color therapy is important for us.
There's a reason. It's odd that you say that in back in the day when they had, asylums, mental institutions, color was a really big deal. I mean, they found that out, when you're housing like 15,000 people, yeah. But you look fabulous in it, my dear.
Oh, thank you so much, my friend. You always look fabulous. I just love
No.
being in your presence. It's a gift.
Now. Well, thank you, madam. That's all I got to say about that. If I had my cowboy hat, I'd tip it and say, thank you, ma'am.
I'd say mighty obliged.
See, we have couth and we have decorum here. Listen, isn't that, I mean, what a freaking
Yeah.
combination is that? What else is happening? How you been, my dear? I know last week you were needing to be recharged.
Yes, I was on a 13-day straight work binge and I was done. So
No,
yeah,
that's not good for you. It
I
really
know
isn't.
it's season, and it's the holidays, and this is when I'm busiest, so it's kind of rough. And then, of course, this weekend I'm doing an event and doing
Yeah,
a
you're doing
healing.
this actually at
Yeah,
your home, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
And
yeah.
tell everyone about what you're doing.
I'm just a lot of my friends. It's so funny because it's so funny. I go out in public and people start talking because they're like, "Oh, if this hurts, go see Trina." Because I fix a lot of stuff for people because I show them stretching and movement and just do what you need to do, and then I do other stuff too. So the buzz has been kind of starting around my local community, and a lot of people were like, "Well, what do you do and what is that?" And so I'm like, okay, it's time to kind of get some people a little bit educated on what even is polarity work, what is deep trance work, what is, hypnotherapy, why do you utilize it? What are these things? What do they do? How do they work? What kind of successes and failures have you seen? And what's the difference between those two? And why is that difference present? So I want to start educating on energy bodies. And like you said, this, the whole Asheroth and the goddess, this is what this is. This is learning how to use your divine feminine powers, the alchemical parts of you, the part of you that makes your eyes blink, your hair grow, your heartbeat, that you have no consciousness of whatsoever, but yet it's operating brilliantly and divinely within you every second of every day without fail. This is the
Hmm.
part I want to teach people to connect to, because this is how you can truly change your physical world, is because physicality is matter. Matter
Mm-hmm.
is mother. So if you want to change the physical world around you, you have got to get to deal with the mother, the matter, the material part of the manifestation that comes from the messenger of God within you, which is the autonomic nervous system and the subconscious mind.
Bingo. Now, do
Mhm.
you charge for this?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just on the perchance if someone was wanting to see you, I've got her contact information below and email you, and you can give them further data on that. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's odd.
I've been
But
doing this work since I was a kid. So
well, then you would be considered an
yeah,
expert. Yeah.
it's kind of fun. So like
Yeah.
I've been doing this work since I was a child, and like the energy work that I do now, and then with my massage therapy experience, because now you learn the whole anatomy of the muscles, the ligaments, how everything connects, and all this stuff. So, like, I've been seeing people with, a lot of people have the same problems and the same pain in the same areas. You see a lot of similarities with this, and a lot of it's because of our holding patterns, computers, what we do for work, all this stuff.
Which isn't
And
natural, by the way.
no, it's not. So like it's funny, like we're with friends at a bar, and they're like, this shoulders hurt me. I'm like, oh, come here, 5 minutes. I'm like pushing inside their armpit and running energies on them. And then, then they're like, oh my gosh, it's better. And I'm like, yeah, it's amazing what happens when you actually can talk to your structure and put it where it needs to go. So
Yeah.
there's just a million ways to help your body feel better. And then the big stuff is when you go into the mind, when you can go into the subconscious mind, which again is the goddess energy that all of us have. We're born with this. It's not a super talent. It's not an ability you need to acquire. It's born in you.
By
It's
the way,
all
to add that point, Trina, is that when conception begins and the first form of matter begins to form around the energy, every one of us are born, we start out female.
yeah.
There are no males,
Yeah.
which leads to, yesterday's, you were talking about Ashroth and how that name came to you without even knowing who the name was.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
And it's interesting because there's the evidence right there before us. If we were truly created in his image, would we not all be male? So if the fact that at the moment of what we would call physical creation for each soul that's coming into the body, that body starts out female. And then it's odd how the goddess then begins to I guess it would be dedicate, regulate, who shall actually take away that one chromosome, given the XY chromosome, and become male.
Yep.
There's something there, Trina. I mean, as I'm sitting here thinking, I've got.
I think it's truly is something about that is that power in the mitochondria. I think the mitochondria makes the ultimate determining factor, and the mitochondria is so powerful. And again, that's the genetics that you get from the mother.
And we're still just when you talk about that, we cracked the human genome, but now the mitochondrial DNA, which is the female, the feminine, it's showing itself to be beyond anyone's imagination.
Multidimensional. It's the part of you that's multidimensional. That's where you get your multidimensional aspects of self is from the mitochondria.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's why I call it the mighty mouse.
Dang, you and I were talking earlier as well, and as we were talking, and you were bringing up, that it's when within us all this, I think, this hidden knowledge of what actually is going on, the divine feminine. And it got me to thinking, and I wrote it down as we were talking. I said, so is Lucifer opposed to the goddess? And you said, and we almost said it together, no. You went on to say Lucifer probably is the goddess.
Right, the light bearer, because think about it, conception, when the sperm hits the egg, there's an explosion of light. Light bearer, Lucifer, because Lucifer means light bearer, light bringer. Lucifer, like you said, Lucifer, there's all this stuff about Lucifer, but there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence. It's all made up. So thought forms are real. So now there probably is a really wicked Lucifer running around because we've created it. But
because the true nature of this word that Jerome made up, but I can't help but not think that if you've been sitting in a cave for 6 months, you're probably channeling a lot of shit, man. I mean, there ain't no doubt.
Some really crazy channeled weird shit. One time I was contemplating the whole who is Lucifer thing. And what they showed me, and I, like I said, just put this off into imagination land. There is no validation for any of this. I saw that the angel Gabriel was the angel that was divided to make the first egg of creation for the human genome. And it was part angelic, and it was mixed with the bioorganic matter of the earth, and it formed the first human. And I saw that it was from the angel Gabriel, and that was female.
Now,
And
it's
then
interesting.
you just read that Gabriel was female in one of those. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, see there? That maybe that is what I saw that. So the
Yeah.
Ark of the Covenant with the two angels, that was when Gabriel sacrificed herself to be the first template of the species of human that we actually now have evolved into. But there's that part of us that has consciousness and that's immortal. I think that comes from the angelic realms.
So
And I
let me
don't
ask you
know.
something. You used the word immortal in
Yeah.
association with a spirit. Maybe the soul is, I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
So let me ask you from your perspective. So were the Cro-Magnons, were the Neanderthals, were they immortal as well?
I think so. Yeah, they're immortal because I think we are those things now again on this planet. We are those original beings. We just
See,
have different bodies now.
See,
Just
that's
different
very
bodies.
interesting for me, because if reincarnation exists, then reincarnation would have to coexist with evolution.
You would think.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
I
that
mean,
would, yeah, I
this
think
is
that's how.
mixing two things that, you would, what do you mean,
Like I
Steiger?
said,
Well,
Wayne, I think that it was intended to be that way, but I do think that something went wrong. Like we got an infection, a mind virus, something happened to
some went
humanity.
wrong. There's
Yeah,
no
and
doubt
it could
about
be
it.
the drunk Enki and Enlil playing let's, party with some serious drugs and crazy women and just start making stuff in a lab. And we're a result of that. So it could be as simple as that. It could be the problem.
Well, and isn't it interesting as well is that in none of the literature that I have read anywhere, hello, Regina, Jargo, Troublesome, good to see y'all. Robin, hello, Musgrave. Nowhere can I find any angel giving utterance to the goddess's name. Well, in fact, I can't find any angel actually speaking, the God's name. They don't. And
No,
it's,
I was going to say I haven't really seen it on either side really.
they
Okay,
don't.
good. I'm glad that you didn't find it either because I was like, let me know if I didn't see it.
I've been looking at this and was up late last night. I can't find any reference. I find references of angels making reference to other angels, other hierarchies, but in nowhere of none of the literature can I find any angel or jinn ever mentioning the goddess's name or God's name for that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. And the more I look at it, I'm like, and if this is truly what they're saying it potentially is, which would be a simulation, so that means we're holographic in our nature. If that is in fact true, and our spark of our consciousness is literally floating above our head, it's not in our brain, we're receiving the information from it, and that's what's animating the hologram. That if that is really true, then that means that as a fractal of this light of source, that means that all of this is just thoughts of the mind, of the consciousness of the universal mind. So that means that we're all
Isn't that what
animating.
life is, though?
Yeah, that's so I was like, we're animating different parts of it, but we're all of it. So we're all of it. So whatever this, why would you, like you said, why would you worship yourself? If it's you, if it's a part of you, if you truly are a fractal of source as an expression of it, and we're just all parts of it, because none of us could comprehend or be all of it at the same time. It wouldn't work. So as a fractal of it, but still understanding that you're the whole of it. So all these beings and all this stuff, it's like they're all just distractions to keep you from acknowledging what's inside of you. All of that's inside of you.
I need to check the door. So Trina, keep the
Okay.
conversation going
Okay.
as I make an exit one
So what
moment,
do you
folks.
all think about that? I don't know. I think that could be a could be a potential that everything that we are seeing as a fractal of Creator, as a child of God, every single one of us have taken on personalities and expressions of life to experience life itself for the invisible part of creation, which I do think is the father aspect of creation. So father aspect would be the invisible parts, and the mother aspect of creation would be the material, physical realms of creation. And I do see that they work together.
I was
How do you
hearing
get?
that. I think my ghost is active. I mean, there was, yeah,
Are you
interesting.
serious?
Yeah, it was very interesting. I was hearing that. Well, again, it from the comments that yesterday, when you think about this aspect that, in fact, my wife and I were talking about it, and she says, I've never given thought to this.
Yeah, me neither.
She's been a professional nurse for many years, and as she says, I can tell you the vast majority of people that I interact with daily would never think of these things.
Yes.
And it got me to thinking, how unique and special is it, the fact that we can share this kind of knowledge, which affects everybody, but everybody doesn't want to really know about it. As she said, this kind of stuff gives me a headache.
It does. It
That's what she
hurts
said.
you.
It does. She says it.
Well, because it fractures your reality. It
Indeed, I
does. It
did. Very
fractures
well said.
your
Yeah.
reality, and that is
Yeah.
difficult. That's real, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
Wayne, when you've gotten really powerful gnosis, it's made you go to your knees and cry. You're like, how could I be so deceived? And how it blows your whole reality apart, and that hurts.
One always has to remember that all of us can be easily deceived. It's the
Yes.
question of, well, isn't reality nothing more than a mirage?
Yeah.
We see it all the time, and even in this realm, we're seeing glitches that it brings to the point, Trina, that we truly are emerged in multiple dimensions, and we just don't see it.
Yes. And you're not supposed to, because if you did, your brain
I
would
think it
crack.
drive you crazy.
It would drive you crazy.
Yeah.
I know people that have done it, and it did. So for real, this is a serious warning. When you entertain too much of the spiritual realms and you don't stay grounded into this physical world and keep those worlds straight, you will lose your mind. Literally.
I think it's
Literally.
what happened to Carl Steiger over in Germany when he
Yes.
basically committed suicide.
Yes.
Apparently and if you read the book, The Liber Lilith, I mean, he apparently got his wish, and whatever happened after that drove him nuts. He just,
Yeah, Wayne, and remember your friend that could see the spirits and he took his life?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
telling you, people, they're like, oh, I want to see everything. I'm like, you have no idea what you're asking for. And if you did, you would go crazy and probably kill yourself. These veils are put over us for a very important reason. So,
yeah.
like I said, it is a beautiful thing to explore your consciousness. If you need something to heal, or if you have a trauma in your body from a past that you can't make any sense over, these are very appropriate times to go dive into your past conscious lives or wherever you need to go. That is when it actually benefits you as a human. But if you spend too much time in these astral planes and realms, which basically the astral realm, fourth dimension, is hell. So if you go there, you're going to hell. Another level of it. This is one level of it, but that's another level of it. So you're just going plain in hell. So I know people don't want to realize that that is real, but it is. So it
See,
doesn't.
I marvel because I am acutely aware that here's something I recently discovered. The future holds nothing but a possibility.
Yes.
My today is what I'm experiencing from what that possibility has become. And here's the trap. My yesterday, and it's only your yesterday, your memories are the ones that truly impact you the most. They'll either be your friend or they'll be your foe.
Absolutely. Because your perceptions create your personality, which becomes your personal reality.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the things I'm finding is that people who meet the transition very quickly, who don't have time to prepare for it, it's the thing I pointed out last week. If you can truly tell the future, can you see a person's day that they die? And the thing is that we can't, because if we knew truly what day, unless you're going to be executed in a state situation, it would drive us nuts. But
Yeah,
I mean, it would.
I think it would. Most people would not want to know that if it really
Mm-mm.
came down to it. Would you want to know how and when you're going to die? Some
No,
people might just, yeah, decline,
I,
right?
I really don't. I came here for a reason. And now
Mhm.
the question becomes, I guess, Trina, do we pick our birth date, the day we actually, I say, are born into the death realm? We go through the birth canal, which is the ritual of the blood. So we go through these strange rituals to get here.
Yeah.
Do you think do you, and that's a good question. Do you, and audience, everyone in the chat room, thank you, moderators, much love. Hey, Dave Sullivan and Julie, how you doing, Carol? Obi, good to see you. Hello, Doll, good to see you. Do you think that we choose the date, the time we come in?
There's a strong potential. I could see that being real because I saw the creation of a contract and a like a life plan to go through this incarnation that I was planning before I came here. So when you see weird stuff like that, you're like, wow, if that's true, I wonder if I did pick my day that I died. But you know what I also understood is that not only did I choose one, I chose three. And I don't know really what that means, but I do think that I have three opportunities to die in this reality, and I will eventually, through choices I make during this incarnation, will be which one eventually shows up.
I've said, and I've told Lynn this, I said, I'll go in my sleep. That's,
Right.
I mean, I can't, it's the inevitable. It is. And which I think is a shame. I mean, within that itself, it's that question then, what is truly death? Is death really this thing, what we've been taught through the religious, primarily post-colonialism, which has been a heavy, heavy spell. I'm convinced of it, that has put us into this belief system that death is bad, and B, you only have one life, so live it, whatever. Those two contradict themselves, because if I say that if death is death, then death brings life.
Yes.
Isn't that what the goddess does?
Yes.
Kali, isn't that what she does?
Yes,
Destruction and
absolutely.
life.
And that's why the goddess is always shown as three.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is the giving of the life, the existence of it, and then the end of it. She's all three. So she's like the maiden, and then the maid, and then the crone or whatever. So there's always the triple goddess aspect of it, because she is the beginning and the end. When you think about it, literally, when they talk about the alpha and the omega, that pretty much that's describing the divine feminine, because it's describing the materialistic physical existence, because there is a beginning and an end to physicality, but there's not to spirituality. There's
Mm-hmm.
no there's no ending to that. So that could not be the description of Father God if they describe that as the unseen, invisible source emanating the spectrum of invisibility into a materialistic visible world. It wouldn't even make sense. It would be the goddess.
Well, what's really interesting is we're talking about this, and again, folks, I'll be making reference tomorrow on this one again. What we're finding out is that much of the archaeological discoveries, particularly what we would call in the Dark Ages, that became the Middle Ages, all the way up into the postmodern era. This is strange. We're finding now that these so-called linguists, professors, archaeologists, they suffered from the same thing that mankind as a general. They were anti-feminism.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
the weirdest thing, when I was hearing you do the stuff on Asherah, I saw the weirdest thing go into my consciousness because, the very powerful family has a Roth in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also, known as a child. And it's so funny because Asheroth is very interesting because it's star Roth.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something very important to that they're showing me. So they're like, that's why they call themselves that name.
What's interesting is that these people who wrote the history books, the reference books, they could not accept what they were discovering. And it's just been within the last 5 years, ladies and gentlemen, 5 years, that now the archaeological academia, along with anthropologists, even archaeologists as well, is that what they're finding out, they altered the story. They were wrong.
Yes.
That these figurines, these statues in the temples predate any male monotheistic patriarchal being.
All archaeology will agree unanimously that the oldest relics of worship found on this planet are always of the goddess.
Always of the goddess.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yep. And it just makes me begin to think. So I mark my words, Trina, in the next month or so, we're going to start seeing on multiple YouTube channels. You'll see it propagate into Facebook and others. You're going to see more and more about the feminine goddess.
Wayne, I think that's like the ultimate closing and ending of a cycle, and that would be the ultimate graduation of humanity. They've kept us divided between the masculine and feminine gods our entire existence. It was the divine feminine was in power first, and now it's the masculine. So none of that is balanced. But when we can decide to utilize and honor both parts of creation in a loving, respectful manner, and when you utilize mom and dad inside you, you're activating the creative and the logical parts of your brain, and you're unifying them. That's what they call the divine marriage. The divine marriage is what activates the pineal gland. It's only when both hemispheres of the brain are in sync can you connect to the divine. And that is the Christ in you, in my understanding. That is the definition of it. It's when you create that pyramid of fire within your own mind, and it's because you've unified logic and creativity, and you blended them together, and it activates the pineal gland, which gives you the higher vision. And that's a chemical process, an alchemical process activated by the autonomic nervous system, which is the divine feminine.
Yeah, and that is information that well, quite frankly, you couldn't tell that to a person who has never even heard any understanding of, because this is how I look at it. I look out at the world, and it's like being in an episode of The Outer Limits or something. There, I was at the grocery store this morning, and I just as I'm shopping, I suddenly am hit, and I could actually feel it. I could feel the pressure change in my ears, and it's like everything just slowed down. And I'm looking around me, and I'm realizing and it's weird because I felt like they were of another reality dimension. You could say that was the word I was actually going to say, and it was only for the briefest second, but it was such clarity that it really just freaked me out. I mean, I kept going like, what the fuck's just happened here?
Wait, and that's what they're saying, you walking between two worlds. You're getting glimpses. You're getting glimpses of the fifth dimensional energy, which is what you're vibrating at. But when you go into these public places, your frequency gets dropped down into their dimension. But for that moment, you reconnected to yourself, and then you saw a higher vibration, because that's your personal reality.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely mine. I'm sure the other people were absolutely not cognizant of me or any of that. But
Yep.
Yeah,
It's almost like they
it's
can't see you. It's almost
it's
like you go
nice.
invisible. For
Yeah.
real.
Let's see. Michelle Reed says, I've heard it's the left and right sides of the brain, balance them up, and the body through the pineal gland, then through Jacob's ladder.
Yeah, the spine.
Yeah,
Yes,
Michelle, you're right,
spine,
dear. Yeah.
autonomic nervous system, divine mama. That's her power. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And again, then it's like, as we're getting into discovering who the goddess is, she's here. I mean, what, and I don't know what took place, but I do know for balance to be there, there has to be the balance between both the feminine and the masculine. I don't
Yeah.
think any one can exist without the other.
I don't either.
And this is what we're living in. We're living in a world, a reality that has been absent of the other.
Yes.
And I think that's why everything is so out of balance here.
Well, it is, Wayne, because think about it. If you have access to the divine mother inside of you, that means you have all access to your autonomic nervous system and your subconscious strata. So that if you can control and access your subconscious mind creates 95% of your waking physical reality. That's what builds it. That is basically, you know how they talk about the great architect? Well, there it is. It's your subconscious mind. So when you can literally learn how to work with your conscious mind and your subconscious mind and learn how to do that dance between the two different realms,
Mm-hmm.
your potential as a human being has just literally elevated to that of superhuman potential and possibility, because you can do miraculous things. You've seen it, Wayne, that vibration when you were doing the healing work, both sides of the brain activate. Christ in you is present, and just your frequency can heal people. Just laying your hands on them, because it's a vibration, it's a
Mm-hmm.
frequency, and it's like I said, it's just a frequency. We've made such a taboo supernatural thing to keep us away from these powers, because literally, guys, when we understand how to utilize this and if we agree on anything, it'll manifest in this world, and that's what scares them.
Well, that's why they'll resist this message. I mean, there are more women in the world today that they're opposed to anything that gives the feminine strength. And it's odd because, I remember the early 70s in the feminist movement. And it's odd because it was making some tremendous headways, and then it's just disappeared.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking to myself, so what are we actually being used for? I mean, yes, I get the idea that this is reality, that death will come, and then we will be over in that other dimension. Get it. The question I have, and I guess that's why I continue to go down these roads, is that did I have advanced knowledge of what life would be here in this realm, in this lifetime? I don't know. Maybe
I think you knew
if
a
I'm
little
in,
bit, but nothing's real till you feel it, Wayne. So we could conceptualize it, but when you get the wipe, you don't remember what pain feels like. You don't remember so much of what this physical world actually feels
well,
like.
we can't remember pain as it is. I can look back in my childhood. I know the experience, but I cannot feel that pain.
Oh, see,
I
that's what
remember meningitis, and I know exactly the nauseating headaches that would cause you to black out. But I can't feel that.
yeah,
You
because you
see,
healed
it's
it.
gone. It's
You've
not
healed
there.
it. That's when you truly know that you've healed a trauma in your life, is when you can think of the memory and you don't get the physical charge, but you have all the information is still perfectly preserved in your mind and in your body, but you're not suffering dis-ease from those memories because you found a way in your consciousness to put it into a different place to stop the remembering of the pain signals that you received during the experience. And that is a powerful, powerful thing. Wow. How
I
was
still
it?
remember, my dear, on December 19th at 5:02 p.m., 1970, I got hit by a car. And yeah, she actually ran a red light and so hit me. But the point is, even those traumatic events, I don't know if you can see that,
Yep.
that scar there, that scar, for everyone who cares to know, is what happens when you're on LSD and you no longer have it's interesting, the grasp of what physicality does. And I put my hand through a piece of stained glass. It was a French
Yep.
door. And when I pulled my hand back out, there was the jagged piece there. And yeah, so yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, that was a
Yeah.
strange feeling. And that I can feel, I can remember, because the blood was, pumping out about, 8 feet.
Oh,
And
geez.
it was weird because I just remember it. The sudden thing is, I continued to lose blood, was that I remember I was like, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, it feels kind of nice. I'm sleepy.
Yeah, it does. Kind of
Yeah.
warmth. It's very seductive, Anyway,
Mhm.
Al says, I got hit by a car in the fourth grade, hit and run. Yeah, there you go. Monkey Experiment says, interesting. My cousin did the same thing on his hand. There you go. I don't know. That's odd. That is odd. Yeah. Scary experiences. New Yoda said, I don't know. I mean, I look back on them now, and there were some pretty scary times, but I got to tell you, Trina, I'm sure you can relate as well, is that, those moments in our lives that, again, it shows me the awesomeness of this experience, is that
Yes.
things that you've gone through that were threatening to you, you've had life-threatening experiences, I'm sure.
Yes, many,
Yeah,
many. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you look back, you're like, wow, how did I get through that? But you did. And like I said, sometimes like moms that rip car doors off, sometimes superhuman strength was involved to protect you. And
How
there's
about the fact that you actually went through childbirth? You've brought two souls into this world, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, with
You
no
see,
medicine at all.
I can't relate to that. I've passed kidney
It's
stones, but
rough. It's similar, I think.
can you recall the pain? I've heard many
Yes,
women said you can't.
I can. Absolutely. Especially more with the second one. That one was really rough. The first one was easy. The second one was very difficult. So yeah, I remember them both. Yeah. But it's so funny, when you're done giving birth, especially even after a really good one, you're like, oh, I'm glad I'm not doing this again for a while. But then after about a few months, you're starting like, oh, I could do that again. It's amazing. It really is. But yeah, you do forget a lot of it. But when you really think about it, no, I can remember.
You see, and that's the mystery from a male's, when I think about that, because that's an experience that no male can actually. Well, I know in this day and age that there's a lot that would debate that, but I'm saying, simply talking from my experience, that yeah, it marvels me that the reality that we live in, that this is how it's done.
Yes, me too.
It just amazes me.
But
Um,
it mimics so much of nature. So on one hand, it makes sense to me
yeah, and
because
there's a lot of the girls, the women in here are talking about their childbirth.
yeah,
Julie
it's
says, I totally recall all of the children's pain. Ha, all four times.
yeah,
Yikes.
yeah, yeah. I would too. I think I remember both. Yeah, very well too. And they were all the women out there. Can you testify to the fact that not one birth was ever the same as the other? I didn't experience that, and not many people. I don't know anybody that have. Every time you give birth, you have no idea what you're in for. It's completely different every time.
And even if you've gone through it, so
Oh, yeah.
is there this anticipation? Is it anxiety? I mean,
The first the first one was terrifying because, you know, a lot of people die giving birth. You don't know what's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen. You don't know if your hips are going to open. There's a lot
My
of things.
dad's mother died when giving birth to him.
That's what I mean. So it is a scary situation. You
Yeah.
literally do put your life on the line to bring forth another soul into this matrix. You literally do risk losing your own avatar. So yeah, that's real. So yeah, the first one for me, I was concerned about all that, but everything went so smooth. I literally had my first baby in 2.5 hours. So that was
And as
amazing.
you were just talking, Trina, here I'm thinking, all right, so I can see Trina's spirit, but the fact that you're the incubator for another spirit being, I mean,
I
this is
could,
some deep stuff philosophically. I mean, it's really deep.
Wayne, I could communicate with her spirit when she was in my womb. I could feel her spirit in me. I knew there was two spirits in my physical avatar. I could feel her spirit. I went and got an aura photography one time.
Mm.
The most amazing thing because when I had her on my lap, it was what I felt when she was in my womb. And I wanted a picture to see if it would show the energy systems of her and I together. And it did. And it was
Wow.
so amazing because she sat as a magenta star in the middle of in my lap, and I was surrounded by magenta and violet purple all around us. It was like we were wrapped in a protective bubble of seventh chakra purple violet energy, and where she was and my heart was, it was emanating magenta, a beautiful, like this color of the shirt almost.
You see,
It was
that to me borders on the miraculous. I mean, it happens all the time. I know it's how our species, produces, but it's as a philosopher, and as a cultist, um, that is such deep alchemy.
yes,
Yeah, it's
yes.
wow.
and,
Mm.
and the pain of releasing that soul from your body, it's really intense. It's really intense when you feel it go through you. It's the
Bernadette
only way
says,
I
I
can
heard
describe it.
my daughter crying inside of me.
Oh, how precious. Wow, she was having a bad dream,
Wow.
little angel baby. Oh, that's precious. My daughter would dance, Wayne,
Mm.
only to 50s music.
Karen Lynn says, oh, she had twins that passed away on July 23rd,
Oh,
2020. Well, Karen, that is one of those things that it's sad because it's part of this reality of this realm.
yeah.
But yeah,
But I will
yeah.
tell you, the spirit is still living and she will meet those children and
She
they're
said
hers.
that she has a daily conversation.
I was going
Uh,
to say they're with
yeah,
her. They're hers. Those are her babies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bonnie says, I want to know why an angel would appear to someone and tell them what to name their child. Now that Bonnie, I don't have a clue. I mean, it
You
gets back
know,
into this. What's that, hon?
the first thing that I would ask was, did you ask for guidance for a divine perfect name for your child? Because that could have been an answer to a prayer. So if they didn't ask the question, put it out to the divine, what should I name this child? You know, if they didn't
Now
put
you
that,
got me
yeah.
thinking. So thank you for that comment because so let's just say we start becoming really sensitive and it gets into our vocabulary, our nomenclature, that we start giving recognition to the goddess mother and start giving her thanks. And, because we do it already. I mean, if you're probably like most of us here, we talk to nature. So here's my question. Does she have angels that serve her?
I would
I've
think
never
so.
seen anyone write their names. Every angel that we have record of serves this male deity, which
What
is
if,
a
what if,
recent.
what if that's because it's demanded to worship the false gods claiming to be God because they're just like us. So they have egos. So maybe that the masculine divine places the need for it to be worshipped as to where, just like in your body, The part of you that's the masculine logical thinking part, ego part of your brain, it needs acknowledgement, it needs patterns, it needs to feel safe, it needs worship, it needs all these things. The divine feminine part of you is pretty much primarily hitting. It's the alchemical parts of you. It's doing digestion, making your hair grow. Those are all the parts of the divine feminine, which are identical construct to the brilliance of nature. So you're dealing with the two different aspects of you.
So what if the
So
angels
what if
are forced?
I don't think the goddess would need that or demand it. And
Well,
but
I know for myself that I wouldn't have a bit of problem being of service to the goddess. This male deity, I'd probably, it would be the death of either one of us because one of us won't be walking back. I have such a disdain for what I am seeing happening to our species. And unfortunately, our species does it to ourselves. But getting back to that point, so what if these angels have been basically forced, because the one thing that this book, The Children of Fire, has taught us, they got some shit over on the other side. I mean, these beings, they got no compassion. They
But do
got
you
no
see,
mercy.
Wayne, I don't think that they have the power to force us, but they do have the ability to
I'm saying, no, that the angels have been captured by this male deity to
I think
serve
they
him.
have, but through deception, because I really don't even know these things that seem to be the gods of this world that like send angels to kill people and do all this crazy stuff. They're gods because they're rulers, but they're not gods because they're the creative source of creation.
Well, Yahweh does it very frequently, although it is in a book I read last night, there is something that has happened, and you'll probably see more and more of this start coming out, Trina. There is evidence that something has been held back, particularly within the last couple hundred years. The level of activity of what we would call the angelics has actually been very low.
Yes.
So the question is, are we about, and every time that seems to happen, it's a prelude to something big.
The days of Noah. That's it. That's it.
And I don't like that idea because, we got our ass kicked in that situation.
Yeah. And how come? And how come? Because we were worshiping things outside of ourselves. If we start to really understand that as children of creation, that we have creation within us. And, it's so funny because when I started to understand the power of the divine feminine, when I literally, it brought me to tears. I couldn't believe that I didn't remember her. It broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I realized that, I was very sincere. I was like, how do I honor you and give thanks to you? And you know what she said? She said, just be me, be aware of me and be me.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I am the true teachings of basically the Jesus person. To be compassionate to your brothers and sisters, nurture children if they fall down and scrape their knee, love them, feed the animals, tend to my gardens, embrace me through my son. It was like she was saying, by embracing life itself with compassion and love, you are doing the highest honoring to the goddess that she could ever ask for.
So I have a question to inject there, because you said the sun. Again, we're in this paradigm where we are taught, it's in us, that we are going to give recognition to Jesus or to the Christ, to the Son. And again, I'm saying, if there was a true, that if the goddess mother goddess, however you want to term, was truly in charge here, wouldn't it have been the daughter and not the son?
And they say the daughter's name was Sophia.
Well, and I've heard that. So, and it's interesting.
There's also Zoe. There's also Zoe too. So, yeah.
But was not Sophia, which is earth, which is, wisdom in that. My point is, this male deity cursed her.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, there was a curse when, but
Yeah.
it's a male deity, correct? But is it a god? No, it's
I
not.
don't
It's
think
a
so.
deity. It's a powerful
Yeah,
deity,
yeah.
which does have a lower G god status because it can destroy a whole planet. They are this powerful, but these are powerful energies, entities of the creator beams of light, and they are powerful.
Well,
So
I read the Gnostic Apocrypha, the Gospel of Sophia and Pistis.
yeah,
And the one thing I left away, and I have the book, that the true Jesus, the true Yeshua, because of the Jewish culture, could only have been a male. But then there is those who believe that Christianity was never a derivative of the Hebraic or the Jewish faith, that it was really a pagan belief system. And if it was truly from its true roots, it would have the divine daughter. The daughter is the one who carries forth the wisdom and the strength. And
yeah, yes,
so
and like I said, everything got inverted to hide the power of the divine feminine, because when you do understand the power of that part of you, you literally have a lot of control over the physical reality that you exist in, because you can direct and reprogram your own subconscious mind.
I believe that. I mean, if our thoughts, someone said, if you want to know where you are at, what are your thoughts and what have your thoughts attracted?
Go into
Yeah,
your subconscious mind,
yeah.
because that's where it's all hidden, but that's the truth of the matter. The
Mm-hmm.
truth of the matter, because it makes your matter. The
Troubleson says, who's
subconscious.
killing your vibe? Killing my vibe. Someone
Exactly.
said, Shirley said, I don't get that. Don't create a worship to the cross to see. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, again, it's that question. Why would a God want worshipers? I mean, why? Why?
Yeah, that's, to me, Wayne, it doesn't even make sense. So you're
No.
absolutely right. And like, yeah, no, there's been
Why
never,
would
I've
God
never
want a
had,
starship?
yeah, and I've never seen any of them uh ask me for worship
That's
ever.
just it. That as I've told people in my study into the occult, I really can't find any angel, any demon. I can't find any hierarchy that they're saying bow down and worship me. The only one I get that from is the God that I said, and someone asked, well, why did you leave Christianity? I did the background check and they
Yeah,
failed it.
yep, yep.
And I accepted so much, Trina. And this is why I'm so litigious in what I study in reforming that fractured, fractal.
Yeah, because boy, the truth, we seek truth, and then when you find the truth, it breaks your heart, it breaks your reality apart, it
Man.
fractures your mind, and then you have to put yourself back together. But eventually, after you get all that work done, then you understand how and why the truth shall set you free.
Yeah, it's and I'm a person because I used to be involved very politically. I was really it's been probably one of the most exclusive conservative groups that there is. Um, so I keep tabs on what the world is doing, and what I'm seeing is a world that has gone insane. I mean, and it's frightening in one aspect because the insanity we talk about here, and people think that we're kind of off the rail, many straights that I
Mhm.
call them that live in the everyday reality. But those of us who are very well versed to the occult, to philosophy, to the knowledge that's out there, we understand that, we get that. But here's the point. It's becoming it's be it's weird because I see people in power structures that set the narrative. There's the 4 a.m. message that goes out. And everyone, I don't know if you ever been in news, but at 4 a.m. is when the news talking points are sent out. And it's like this huge machine that then it gets its attendants that go out and they begin to speak this narrative of creating a spell. And what they want is the general public to act and respond in a certain manner.
Yes.
But in the meantime, every one of us can see that, wait a minute, this is not true. Who is telling the truth here? And then it really becomes, well, who's defining truth?
Correct. And then if you could look at all of that and see that and say, well, what's the game going on here? When you look at it from a bigger perspective and you look at, okay, through these programs, is it successful? Oh man, boy, it sure is. So then you understand, okay, if they've been working so long and for so many years to make sure that they keep us programmed, obviously there's a reason that they're doing that and they've made it work. What happens if everybody disconnects? They're done. So this is happening, Wayne, on a very large scale. And I hate to say it, the proof is with just the one news place that they call, you know, the C of the N of the other N. You know, that one, if that's not fallen apart. And this is how we break the spell, is because when you see it, then you can break it. And it's as easy as not even looking at it or paying attention to it, giving it none of your energy. Because if they can control the programs and the people watch those programs, they will receive the programs. But many people are tuning off now, Wayne. They're going to their own opportunities for programs. And a lot of them are finding their way to things like this. So there is,
I hope they do find their way. It's why, you know, I left politics. You know, I despise politics, but it's a beast of, you know, when someone wants to talk about a demon, I would tell them that there's only primarily, I would say the two master demons are the demon of religion and the demon of politics. And then there would be others and other subsects. Money, yeah, money would be another one.
That's your dark trinity of existence.
I mean, if you really want to see what the dark God looks like, you and I, we're living it.
Yeah.
And we're fighting the influence that we've been subjected to, in my case, for, you know, nearly 70 years now. And when I awoke, it was truly that Neo scene in the Matrix, you know, when he was in the pod and you break that membrane and you're looking out and you're going, holy fuck. And I can't go back in, you know, I can't go back.
30-foot long snake.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. You know, it's like, I mean, I have family people that just simply, they won't talk to me because it's, as one person said, I freak them out.
Absolutely. And
that's what they said. Love to talk to you more, but you just freak us out. Well, what do you mean I freak you out? You talk about things. Go ahead, on.
You're taking their reality and yanking it out from under their feet. And they're falling on their butt going, what just happened? And they don't like it. So yeah, freaking them out. That's exactly what happens. And you know,
I ain't talking anymore.
It's okay because the sleeping ones, they don't have as much power with energy because they're just accepting programs and running them, but they're not creating. And they're not putting any of their energy or emotion or love or passion into the things they want to create. So by default, what people that have conscious awareness of their power of creation and their power of thought and their power of spoken word, when they start to do that, there's way more power in that. So it doesn't need that many of us to come into an agreement and unify. And when that happens, that's when we're going to see some very powerful changes. Which, Wayne, you know, we've already done it. We've made it.
Oh, we've done it.
We have done powerful things.
Yeah.
That is the evidence of what we're looking at. It's power and it's fact. It's truth. These things really do work.
They do work. Seeing what's going on in the chat room is going.
It's just flying.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and get a chance to read it. And wow, that whole hour is gone, Trina. Wow. See, Peg says, not Margaret, says, yes, people don't like to have the rug yanked out from under them with questions or truths, so we are crazy. It's easier for them to deal with us if we're crazy. Ain't that the truth? And I never felt that crazy was so fun.
Right.
You know?
But yeah, it does. Because I've shattered a lot of consciousness, and I've learned in my lifetime to be careful with that, because they've showed me you can create some karma by doing that. So be careful. I was like, oh shoot, another thing I'm doing I didn't know that I'm not supposed to be doing. Because everybody's like, oh, wake people up. Oh well, no, there's rules to that too. So I'm like, great. But no,
Like,
we
can
are
I just
powerful,
get
guys, and our consciousness is definitely. It used to be only 1% of the entire world would be able to step into these levels of consciousness and have a comprehensive communication about it and understand the words, the language, the concepts, and fully have an ability to grasp any of it. So it used to be only about 1%. I think it's gone up to almost maybe 2.5 already. So that's huge.
Yeah, that would be about, if I'm doing my math right, would that be 160 million?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So we're getting there. We are making some ground, because enough of the programs that we were installed with, many people have broken them apart now, and they're rebuilding their own construct based upon their belief systems and their passion and what they want to create. So this is huge, and I don't know that humanity has done this before.
I hope we do something right. So
This is a step in the right direction, Wayne.
I agree.
Realizing that we are in these, conundrums of control. And that is the first step of understanding how to get out of your prison, is to understand that you're in one. We didn't even know we were in one. Just like they said in
what did the rat say? Forget the cheese, man. Just get me out of the trap.
Right.
Well, Trina, the hour has come and gone, dear. We could go on for another. This has been a great, because the power of the 4% will be disproportionately large. Okay.
Yes, because it's exponential in its power, because it's going from the heart and it's not going from a program. Different energy fields, different Torah.
Plato's cave all over. I get, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank all of you. This has been fun. Trina, much love to you, dear. Successful event this weekend, this Sunday at your place. And I look forward to a good report next Tuesday.
It's fun because a lot of people are really wanting to know what is this, and what, because most people, they don't have an awareness of it. And Wayne, even though I've been intuitively doing this since childhood, when I went to school to get my 19 certifications and different holistic practitioner level courses, every time I went to a new one, I was blown away. This is such guarded material, and it's been guarded for a very long time, and there's a lot of reasons for it, because I got to see miracles on a daily basis while I was in my education process, and that changes you for the rest of your life. So this is kind of what I want to start, get-togethers and showing people how to run energies and how to play with different modalities. And so many people have rights of ownership over these modalities and stuff, and it just cracks me up, because it's like, you might have a copyright on that modality, but what are you going to do when I can have proof of evidence that I've been doing that since I was 6 years old? Would my copyright outright your copyright?
Oh, I know, it's nuts.
Right.
It's like no one owns anything.
That's what
all right, everybody.
Yeah, it's going to get creative, because now it's time to create all new stuff, because you got to be so careful about all this stupid crap. But it's going to be a journey, but a journey worth taking. And I can't wait to train hundreds of people so they can go out and activate hundreds and hundreds more, because this is all something we all can do, all of us.
All right, dear.
Much
love to you, and thank you, everybody. And thanks for hitting the like button. And hey, we'll see you tomorrow.